What's going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ, and today I'm bringing you guys my Cold Bow Deadeye Ranger League Starter Guide. Now, in the current state of the game, Deadeye is still really good for bow builds, but they're significantly buffing the cold skills of bow, making it a lot more interesting to be able to use, and also they're looking at the unused ascendancy skills for Deadeye that no one really uses and significantly reworking them as well, and this is all pairing really nicely into our Cold Ranger League Starter Guide. So I wanted to go ahead and explain why I think Cold Bow Deadeye can be insane in this upcoming league with all the new synergies that they're making cold skills with the new Deadeye ascendancy. Before we get into the guide, if you guys do enjoy these types of video and you're liking what I'm doing here on the channel, you consider hitting a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel. It does help me out a lot, and it also helps with the YouTube algorithm. I also should be live as well on YouTube and Twitch. The links for those will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. All right, let's get right into it. So why do I think Cold Bow Deadeye can be absolutely insane in 0.3? Well, obviously they're significantly changing a lot of the bow skills and some existing ones on the way they interact with freeze. Specifically, the one that we'll be running to basically be our main boss like nuke is snipe. So they changed snipe and they kind of buffed it overall. So the explosion previously dealt at gem levels 3 to 20, 133 to 343% attack damage. Going into 0.3, the explosion is now going to deal at levels gem levels 3 to 20, 363% to 936% attack damage. This is absolutely insane if you kind of think about it. This is basically a 3 times attack damage increase to its base damage, which is absolutely absurd. This will honestly allow for a way higher skill ceiling, allowing us to juice that damage even further than we previously could in 0.2. Now, the only bad thing about this change is they removed the guaranteed crit and the increased critical damage bonus, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal because at a certain point on crit chance, obviously the guaranteed crit really doesn't do much as it does like early game. And that increased crit damage is nothing compared to the new basically attack percentage. Now, on top of the insane damage that the skill actually has now for just its raw attack damage, it's actually getting an interaction with frozen and heavy stunned enemies. Now, I don't think we know what heavy stun does, but in that case, it doesn't really matter because we're looking at the frozen side. In the content reveal that they did, this showed that on hit with a frozen enemy, you'll do 100% more damage with snipe. And the fact that it has a 3x attack damage increase than from previously, and 100% more damage if we hit a frozen enemy. Now, if we think about this and we mix this in with Frenzy Charge stacking Barrage with Snipe, mixed out with Deadeye, where skills that consume Frenzy Charges act as consuming twice as many, yeah, we're one-shotting Pinnacle bosses with this skill. Now, the next skill I want to be talking about here is going to be our main way of freezing enemies to take full advantage of that Snipe, like increased damage if the enemy is frozen, is Freezing Salvo. Now, Freezing Salvo inherently did get a little bit of a buff in the notes for the quality, so no longer will it give a reduced delay to the missile accumulation. Now it'll give up to 40% more freeze buildup, allowing us to freeze enemies even quicker. Now, that's really good, obviously, but the main reason why I wanted to talk about it is getting a new interaction with a skill called Ice Fragments. Now, there's certain skills in the bow tree that can go ahead and actually shoot these ice fragments, or generate them, I should say. Those are Escape Shot, that can generate ice fragments on the ground. You can do Frozen Spite, which killing frozen enemies will actually leave them on the ground as well. And the main way that we're going to be kind of generating them is with ice tipped arrows. Now, this is, I believe, sort of like a barrage skill just for cold. So we'll go ahead and power the next 3 attacks. Those will create ice fragments on hit. So my whole idea basically of like burst freezing Pinnacle bosses and stuff, because map bosses, pretty much one barrage will like freeze them. So we don't really need to do anything there. So for Pinnacle bosses, I'm thinking use this skill, right? Just shoot like Ice Shot or something, try to build up those fragments, and then Freezing Salvo on top of the ice fragments explosions. That should lead to a lot of quick freeze buildup, allowing us hopefully to instant freeze bosses, leaning into Snipe obviously to do that 100% more damage against frozen enemies, allowing us to basically just super nuke a Pinnacle boss. Now, sadly, we don't have any gem information on ice fragments and like how much freeze buildup it does, what is its cold damage, etc., the level scaling, but it's still going to be another added source of free freezing, so there's no reason to not run this in the build. Freezing Salvo can actually shoot additional missiles targeting those ice fragments, and I believe, at least from the footage that they have, the ice fragments blow up as well once those additional missiles from Freezing Salvo targets them. So there should be no issue going and freezing enemies. Obviously, if we're going to be having, you know, these ice fragments on the ground that are going to be building freeze up, ice salvo or freezing salvo, sorry, that is going to be shooting out more missiles, right? Doing freezing, blowing at these ice fragments up. So we should have no issue, like I said, freezing enemies, leading into Snipe being able to take full advantage of that and do 100% more damage to frozen enemies. Should be a really good combo. Pairing that with the new Deadeye Ascendancy, which got reworked as well, like I said, on those nodes that basically nobody was using, it's going to be actually pretty insane. Now for our main clearing skill, we are going to be using Ice Shot, right, to keep that ice theme of the build. Now the main thing about Ice Shot is that it kind of has a really high mana consumption. Obviously we know it does really good clearing. It's literally one of the best bow skills you can use for clearing. In my opinion, it is a lot better than Lightning Arrow, but we are actually getting a pretty nice change coming in with 0.3. Now in the skill section on the patch notes, we can see where it says the mana cost growth of all skills have been rebalanced. Generally speaking, skills will have a similar mana cost at low gem levels, potentially slightly higher mana costs at some intermediate gem levels, and lower mana costs, sometimes dramatically lower, at gem levels higher than 20. Now, this is really good for Ice Shot because it has really high mana consumption, especially if you're doing plus levels into it. This means hopefully, obviously, that the mana consumption or the mana cost of Ice Shot will be significantly lower. Sadly, inside the patch notes, we don't have anything on Ice Shot, so we don't know exactly if the mana consumption is dramatically lower, if it's slightly lower, etc. But obviously, regardless, the mana consumption should be lower, allowing us to use the skill more often and not really have to worry too much about trying to pump more mana per enemy killed, or, you know, more percent mana on back, or mana leech or something like that, which obviously is going to be a really nice quality of life thing, going in with 0.3 and actually running Ice Shot as a clear skill. So now we can get into the Deadeye Ascendancy. So we'll talk about the bad stuff and then get into the good stuff first. So the Avidity, a notable passive skill, will no longer have a chance to gain max frenzy charges. Instead, it'll give a 50% chance to gain additional frenzy charge when you gain a frenzy charge. So obviously that's a really big dagger in us if we are going to be frenzy charge stacking. We're going to try not to do it, see if we can figure a way around it, right, with the new Snipe. Maybe it's good enough with normal Barrage. We don't need a frenzy charge stack with, you know, the Deadeye Ascendancy, but we'll see. But that's pretty much the only bad thing about Deadeye. Everything else is getting pretty buffed. So Call Shot's notable passive skill is getting reworked. So no longer is going to apply or let you apply an additional mark. Instead, it now causes your projectiles to chain to marked enemies. So we're going to be using Ice Shot for our main clear skill here. And obviously that is pretty nice with the projectile chaining to marked enemies, on top of how broken Ice Shot kind of is for clearing, right? Also, we are going to get a new meta skill called Call Shots that will repeatedly mark enemies near us, bypassing the mark limit. So the way that I'm kind of thinking this plays is like a blasphemy sort of thing, right? Like an auto mark aura, to where you put a mark in, walk up to an enemy. If they're in the like range of say it's 3 meters, all those enemies will get marked, and then you can chain your projectiles to all marked enemies. That's the way that this kind of notable is sounding to me, and the way that it'll play. Obviously we don't have information on the skill, but as soon as we get that, I will let you guys know, update obviously the Mobilitas guide, all that stuff with the relevant information. Now the really nice thing about Deadeye, and why I'm pretty hyped to be playing it, on top of the auto mark, right, which is sounding really dope, is Eagle Eyes actually did get replaced and reworked as well. So it no longer will remove the distance-based accuracy penalty, but instead you'll now get 10 stacks of critical weakness to enemies when you consume a mark on them. So obviously consuming a mark isn't that bad. You could do like Sniper's Mark, you know, you could consume that. But the fact that you get 10 stacks of critical weakness, obviously that's 5% crit chance to the base. Obviously if we just consume 2 marks, that's 10%, right, crit chance to our base, which is huge early game. This is a free just source of crit weakness, allowing us to start stacking a lot of crit damage. It should allow us to crit really consistently and really early on as well with low investment. Now I want to talk a little bit about leveling, because normally when you start out, you kind of got to use lightning rods, right? Lightning arrow, Stormcaller. That's the main sort of leveling right now for bows. I'm really hoping, since they are going to be working with Escape Shot, allowing that to generate those ice fragments on the ground. We already know Escape Shot early game is pretty good for freezing enemies in packs and stuff. With the new ice fragments, I'm really hoping that that can kind of cluster and, you know, just explode the pack and allow for more freeze generation. Going in also with Freezing Salvo, this should allow us to hopefully do some absurd amount of damage. Freezing Salvo already does really good bossing damage, and 99% of people actually use it throughout the campaign to just have more burst damage, especially early on. It does an absurd amount. Since it's getting buffed and it's going to be able to shoot additional missiles at those ice fragments we generate, and obviously the ice fragments have its own damage, those explode as well. It's going to be pretty insane in my opinion, or at least I hope it is, going with leveling. And obviously this should allow us to get really good amount of freeze build up really quickly early on. Going in, obviously pairing that with snipe, since snipe is only a level 3 uncut, this should allow us hopefully to have really good clearing, really good AoE damage as well with freezing salvo, escape shot, really good freeze build up, and then pairing all that with freezing bosses and snipe, allowing us to have really good bossing damage. So I'm going to be testing that out, obviously, and if that doesn't work, just a fallback Stormcaller arrow, lightning rods until we can get later on with ice shot. Obviously I'll be updating the mobalytics guide, all that stuff, right, as we get closer to launch. I'm going to be working in like some leveling stuff as well, some trees, maybe even like some leveling step-by-step stuff of like gems, and the link for the mobalytics guide and stuff like that will be in the description of the video as well. So that pretty much wraps up the video. I'm actually curious and interested, what are you guys league starting? Let me know in the comments below, but I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Like I said, I'll be updating and bringing more stuff on the mobalytics guide as we get closer to Friday and stuff like that. But that's it for this video. If you guys did enjoy the video and you are liking what I'm doing here on the channel, if you consider hitting a like on the video and a subscribe to the YouTube channel, it helps me out immensely and helps with the YouTube algorithm. Again, I should be live streaming right now on Twitch and YouTube. The links for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night depending on when you're watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.